Thank you so much for coming. I'm here to say just two things. First of all, that my journey has only just started. It did not end on January 14th. I never thought it would end on January 14th. And I came with a purpose, and there's not going to be any resting until I accomplish that purpose. And that purpose is to deliver something in this country. Now, there are things which I knew previously, perhaps as a journalist, perhaps as a political commentator, and in all sorts of capacities. But I wanted to go and experience them personally, and I have. And now I can speak about Ugandan elections from a position of knowledge and confidence in what it is I'm talking about. So it's one thing saying that, our elections in Uganda are all rigged and the results are bogus. But now I know that because I've been a witness in the first degree, and I know what I'm talking about. So there are so many things that you have to experience firsthand to understand how it works and to understand how the apparent democracy in this country works or doesn't work. So first and foremost, of course, it's important for me to say that I do not believe, even in the slightest, that Museveni got 50% or anything close to that in order to be declared winner. All these people you see here have been my campaign agents from up country. So many of them have come with DR forms from different places of the country, by the way, and just by a number of them tallying results, I know for sure that he did not get 50%, so I know it was a bogus result. But more than that, I also know that there was the whole thing, the whole tally center and all that was all fake. Because what I did is I sent an IT specialist to that place as my agent, and they tried to make sure there are no agents at the tallying center. And I anticipated everything. We made sure he had a COVID certificate before they even asked, because I know that's what they were using all the time. You have a COVID certificate. So we already took him for a COVID test. He had it. He had all the accreditation. They were telling us accreditation is at Hotel Africana. You go there, it's not there. Then eventually we used intelligence to find out that the accreditation was actually at, I think at Serena. So we went and got the accreditation. So eventually I managed to get somebody there who was an IT specialist. He told me there is no way there was internet in that place. So either there were cables connecting to all the districts to bring in those results, or what was being read there was fiction. And of course we know they cannot have cables connecting to all 146 districts. They were saying they're using ETM, but there was no internet in that place. So there is no way they could have been transferring results from up country to that place. So, and even he went ahead to check using IT special, and he saw that the computers from which they were, which they were given as agents, when he checked, they were coming from just 2 computers away. Okay, 2 computers away. They were not coming from all over the place. So, and anybody who knows IT know that you can check that there is a trail of where all this information is coming from. You might not be able to get the information, but there is a trail of the number of addresses. But there was none. It was just a trail from 2 places away. So I know for a fact that the results which are read, they are fiction. And that's why they maintain somebody at a certain lead. There is no way in any proper election tallying that somebody can maintain a steady lead. It's not possible. Because when they are tallying from a certain place, somebody's lead goes down. When they are tallying from a place where it's strong, the lead goes up. That's how it is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, fluctuating, swinging one way and the other. But somehow it's only in Uganda where the lead starts at one stage and stays there, regardless of where they are tallying. Okay? So when they are tallying in southeastern Uganda, 65%. When they are tallying in other places where the support is not so good, it's the same. So I know now, because he went there, he saw so many things. I'm going to eventually write some of them at a personal level, because there are so many of them for me to speak them out here. But I know for sure that it is all just cooked behind the scenes. Because at some stage you were saying, what am I going to tell the people? What am I going to tell the people? And he said, I told them midnight I have to be reading the first results. It was 1, he hadn't read the results. So there was bunke. And I'm telling this from somebody who was there. And probably even who is somewhere around here. I will not tell you who he is, but who was there, who was seeing everything. Then at 1, finally the first results come. And predictably, like as it was in 2001, 2006, 2011, and 2016, was even at a steady lead, which he starts and maintains there all the while. So now, previously, I was not a witness. Now I was a witness because I made sure I had people accredited. Now I know that it's important for us to know this. Somebody asked me, is there a democracy in Uganda? Now that I've been through this process. And by the way, I've been a lot more involved. You know, I'm a very intelligent person, and I'm not just saying that. I've been very involved in places where people didn't know I was, and I was running something just to find out something. I knew I was not going to be declared a winner, even if people had voted for me. I didn't even expect that I would get 50% of the vote, but I entered for a certain reason. And now I accomplished all that reason to find out exactly what it is that happens in there. And now I know for a fact. So we tried to send our agents to district tally centers. There were not so sharp. Where is your COVID certificate? So we failed to get in any of them. And by the way, even at the National Tally Center, there was only one guy who was Chagulanyi's agent, and he did not have a COVID certificate, but he just had to make a lot of noise for them to allow him. Otherwise, they didn't want him there. But thankfully, he's not an easy person, so he got in there. Then there was Mayambala, presidential candidate, and then there were two of my guys. Those were the only people there. The rest were SFC people who were filling spaces as agents. None of them was an agent of any presidential candidate. Then even the agents, they were given one laptop which you were supposed to sit behind, which had only the information which Yabama is reading. So you might as well have stayed home. Okay? There was no special information that coming from the districts and so on. There was nothing. Okay, it was there. When they read it out there, after it has been cooked from behind, then they give it to you. Then it's there on the screen, just what Yabama is reading. So it was all fake. And that's how elections are. All fake. Now I know it for a fact that this is how elections are conducted. But I also know at the district tally centers, although I did not have agents there, I had my spies there. That's where actually all the data work is done. After elections come from the polling stations, they go to the district. That's where the DSOs are, the RDCs, who were appointed 3 days before the election, or reshuffled for that reason, depending on where they needed a lot of work. So that's why RDCs are, the DSOs are, the DPCs, and all the people who are attached to the system. Now they are there to ensure that democracy is done at maybe at the MP level. I would say democracy is maybe like 40%, the will of the people. So some they will let through, others they have to maintain an NRA majority. So it's all cooked in that place at the district headquarters. But then I also know for a fact, still through intelligence, that the president gets to know the real numbers of people who voted for him and those who didn't, because he uses them to plan for the next time. So he knows these people here, although according to Yabakama I got 70%, the truth is I got 20. So he knows what to do in the next 5 years. So these DSOs collect the real figures from the polling stations and take them to the president. They are the only people who know how people actually voted. The rest is cooked and is sent here. Eventually, when they returned a bit of internet, was sent here to the whatever, after it has been cooked, and it's cooked further behind there. That's why they cannot even post it now, because they start with the result, a percentage. They are given a target, and you can tell it. All their people are saying the same thing. Museveni is going to get 61%, 61%. Where do you think they got that? Because they have been given a target. They even start predicting, prophesying a victory for what? A percentage victory. So they give them a target. You are supposed to get that. Then they first give the result, then they work their way backwards, trying to, align polling stations and so on. That's why 2 weeks, close to 2 weeks after the elections, they have not posted anything, because they are still cooking, because if they did, it would be fake and people can see. And now we have some DRA forms. And now here in Kampala, where we try to get DRA forms, they did one thing. The people here who I had said to put DRA forms, and they were not necessarily just for myself, okay? Because there are stations where I knew I wasn't going to get a lot of support, but I put agents there because I wanted to have information. So they made sure they count so slowly, then it's coming to 9, then patrol cars are passing, then they say curfew, if curfew finds you. So all my agents just fled and went home. Okay? And the next day you come and they're giving you, and you can't get a DRA form. So it was all planned in a certain way, and there is no way we could have had an election with this excuse of curfew. And it is not robbed the way this one was. That is the truth. But anyway, that has been my experience, and it's been an interesting one, because now I'm not just somebody who is talking, because I had agents, this, and it cost me money, but I wanted to know something. I wanted to have a first-hand view of what is happening.
That's why we put people there, people who came and reported and told me everything that happened. Okay? Everything that happened. First of all, it's so interesting that there is a company which did the voter whatever, what do they call it, the biometric, the system, which developed that system. I looked the software. I looked at the company, and their work is construction, electrical engineering, and what you go and check on PPDA. Because they have to be registered with PPDA to do business with government. And PPDA, all the companies that are there are registered. So I went and checked. Their first software work was managing Uganda's election. Actually, they started in Kabuleta as dealers in fish farming. Then they came, and now when I even went and checked out their office, they are in Ntinda on Matters Way. Their clothes are hanged outside. Office, like a residential place with even clothes hanged. You go and check. I will give you the information. Of a company which has just developed a software that managed an election with 18 million voters. Even on their website, they do not list it. Their website does not have any previous software they have done, or even app or anything, any previous IT thing they have done. They actually listed there on PPDA as movers of heavy equipment and construction. You go and check them out. So, and yet they have now suddenly done a voter system in Uganda that was managing 18 million voters, 18.1 million voters. So the whole thing is fake. And that's why I sent my people there, because they were there not seeing what votes Kabuleta is going to get. Let me tell you, the votes were decided from within EC. So instead of spending a lot of money campaign, if I actually was thinking about this election, I would have just paid certain people, and I know them, the people who I would have paid, and tell them at least give me 1%. Because they were distributing them. I can tell you that for a fact. Then they say, this one will give you. It was all decided from there. So, having taken off the share for the Semaka, which they had decided, the reason they fell below 60 is because they were overwhelmed by the extent of Chagulanyi's support in central Uganda. Then they were informed by those people in the districts that there is no way we shall be able to justify 61%, considering what we have been seeing in this place. So it was reduced to 58%, but it was supposed to be 61%. That one I give for a fact, because there was even one of them, I'm not going to mention his name, but I'll write it. Because you know me, I speak things as. He was there telling the EC people, make sure my candidate gets 61%. But in any case, he cannot fall below 60%. And he's there. And he's the one organizing everything. And he's the one who, Ugandan elections are just interesting. When I went after nomination, after I finished nominating, I'm walking out of the tent, and guess whom I see there smiling at me from ear to ear? Baram. So I said that, hey, so we have entered the Chivuru. That now, I thought we were in an election. So the man, and guess who ended the election? By the morning, Friday morning, the day after the election, before even any result from Central Uganda had come in, Baram was there arranging for border people to go and celebrate Museveni's victory. They had not even read 20% of the result. Okay? And he does not speak, unless he's there talking, saying, now, latest center, we need to get border people. And that's 20% of the result hasn't been read. So, if anybody thinks that there's any democracy in Uganda, let me tell you about democracy in Uganda. And this is where I'm going to end before I take questions. At the lowest level, LC1, LC, maybe it's like 80% at that level. But the higher you go, the cooler it what? The cooler it becomes. So think of it as 80 degrees, hot-ish. But now when you go to LC3, it comes to like, maybe 50%. I know so many people are cheated at that level, especially when you go to LC5, it cools a bit more to maybe like 40%. When you get to MP, it's like 30%, because it's at the district where NRM has to retain its majority. Okay? And now actually, they got a very small number from what they had projected. They got just over 300. They wanted a lot more than that. But still, again, it is the extent of noob support in central Uganda that overwhelmed them, because usually they are competitive. But at least that failed them a bit. But when it comes to presidential level, democracy freezes at 0% or at 0 degrees. There's none. There's nothing. There's nothing that was read there that has any correlation whatsoever with what happened in the fields. It is all choreographed from behind the scenes. And by the way, let me even tell you this: don't waste your anger on Vyavakama. He's just a news, he's a what? What do you call those guys who read the news? Anchor. If the news bulletin has a problem, it's the editor and the reporters, not the anchor. Vyavakama is just an anchor. Do you know? I'm telling you that they come and give him a paper. He's behind in the tent sleeping. Then they come and give him a paper. He has no. I'm telling you what I heard from my people who were there. He's sleeping. He said, I told people midnight. It's now midnight 1. Then they give him a piece of paper and said, here are the results we are getting. The results they are reading from polling stations, which are one polling station in Hoima, another one in Kiriandongo, another one in Kabuleta. How do you get results like that? When results are supposed to go to the district. Okay? Because the only correlation between the tallying center is supposed to be first from the polling stations to a district, then from district to the national tallying center. Now, how do you get 2 polling stations from one district in Karamoja? Then you get all the others you don't have. Then you get 2 polling stations from one in Intungamo. How is that even possible? Okay, so it's all fake. So he reads from the results we've had, 1% of the results, 1 a.m. 765%. Then he goes to sleep. Then he says, I'll be back here at 9. At 9, there is a lot of agitation. You people, what were the next thing? What? Then he comes at 9. And people asking, where is the next thing? He doesn't know anything. He's like an anchor who puts on a suit and looks good, and is waiting for you to put the thing on the teleprompter. It's not his business how it gets to a teleprompter. His work is to read. So don't even waste it. By the way, he's just the most highly paid anchor in Uganda. That's all. That's all. All the work. By the way, the company, let me end by telling you this. The company which apparently developed the software is owned by a lady called Rose Kwaga, who works in Ministry of Defense. Anyhow, that's enough. So I just wanted you to know that the fake, like the biggest wastage of money, but me, I entered the race to know it from first hand because I wanted to know a lot of, and I've just told you just a slight thing of what I actually know. I am not speculating because I've checked. By the way, I've even checked the tax records of that company that developed the thing. That's how far I am determined to go and find out whether there is anything really in all of this. But the truth is there is none. So the others are right, maybe in one rant or something, when I have all the information on my hand. But and an Indian, by the way, there is that close for an Indian who is only identified as Punes. No tax number, TIN number, no prior business done with government, nothing until they managed an election. No prior IT work done with government or anybody. Their website is just a dead thing there. It does not show. Imagine if you were to actually earn business to do something as powerful as this. You should have a whole litany of things you've done before you can even come and apply. Nothing. They have not done anything apart from removing big equipment and construction and electrical work. And then finally, okay, and also aquaculture. In what? In Kabuleta. You go and check. Aquaculture in Kabuleta. It's not a joke, I'm telling you. Aquaculture in Kabuleta, and then now finally doing software to manage an election. And people think miracles are not possible. Miracles happen. Here is one of them. Okay? Example, I believe in miracles. Somebody can come from doing fish to managing an election in Uganda, only in Uganda. Anyhow, thank you very much.
Questions?
So we're in a chivalry.
Yes.
Yes.
So what next? You told us your experience.
No. Yeah, what's next? Yeah, thank you very much. Here's the thing. I was not in this election because I was expecting that in 6 months I'm going to reach the whole country and get voted and what. I am cleverer than that. I was in this election, number one, to get an experience of how democracy, actually what it is like to go and meet people, to understand the problems of this country. But also, I can tell you this, the Ugandan electorate, we need to educate the electorate. I spoke before and I told people that it's important for the people who we are speaking to understand that they are stakeholders in their country. Because right now, the way I see the electorate, they behave like supporters, you see. Now, for instance, you can be a supporter of Arsenal. So when Arsenal is beaten, you are unhappy because you're a supporter. But somewhere there's somebody who is a stakeholder in Arsenal. And that means maybe he has shares in the club. So he's also a supporter, but he's bigger than a supporter. Now, until we tell Ugandans that stop being supporters, become stakeholders, because this is all our country. So now anything that goes wrong in the politics affects all of us. Okay? Now, Arsenal losing does not affect your income if you're a supporter. But if you're a stakeholder, it affects your income. Because if it wins, then the shares go higher and you get more money. Now, we have to teach Ugandans how to be stakeholders. Now, what this government has done throughout these years is to push them aside, like you just be there, we'll give you some whatever one we want to give you. That's what happened. You know, the night before the election, because it was important for Museveni to beat me in my polling station, which he did, by the way, comfortably. They passed through at night and gave people sugar and soap and money at 8 p.m. on the evening before the elections. Now, he got twice the number of votes I got at my polling station. And some old woman told me, Runyoro man, forgive me, I've taken 6 months without tasting sugar. I don't know, okay. I said, now you've tasted sugar. Now let's see where you're going to get the sugar 5 years from now. And now they're being honest. Okay? They're being honest. Now that is somebody who needs to be educated about bigger things than that. But how do we do that? Number one, you've been denied a platform because of COVID, which, by the way, was all fake. And thankfully, people have also now seen. Is anybody talking of COVID since the elections were whatever? Huh? But when I was telling people before that COVID is fake, they were saying, you have to be sensitive to people who have died of COVID. People are dying of so many other things. So can't we talk about something because people are dying? People are always going to die. That's the nature of life. We are born, we die. So now you've seen the whole thing is fake. When the man is coming from waving to crowds, nobody is talking of COVID. Okay? Look at the terror which was done in the name of COVID. Because journalists were busy blowing up COVID. Over how many numbers? Now the numbers are what? Now the number. Oh my God. Man, that bores me to the core. Anyhow, people, me, I was in there to tell Ugandans that we can be stakeholders in our country, not just supporters of one political candidate or the other. And all my campaign was about telling Ugandans, number one, that we are poor not because we are in a poor country. And I hope actually that message went out one or the other. We are poor by design, by the design of this leadership. Okay? It is not difficult at all for us to make people rich in this country. But because we have people who grew up in very poor places, looking after people's cattle, they think that they cannot be rich unless they are rich alone. Okay? But for us, we think we can develop, we can prosper together. That's my mindset, that my prosperity does not have to depend on somebody's poverty. We can prosper together as a nation. There is enough resources in this country for us all to prosper. Okay? Enough resources in this country for all of us to, and I totally believe that, and I know it, and I've convinced people accordingly, and I know so many people have received my message, even those who did not vote for me because they wanted to vote change, and I understand that, and they were voting somebody who they thought was more likely to deliver the change, and I understand that. But the truth is, for me, my work of educating Ugandans about the potential we have, and now we are all stakeholders, we are bringing children into this country. It cannot be governed the way it is governed right now. So we have to think ahead of now. Unfortunately, so many Ugandans were thinking January 14th. Not me, I have never been that kind of person. But the person we are trying to bring down, by the time it gets to January 14th, he's probably planning for the next whatever. So until we start being as foresighted as that, and saying now, how have we gotten ourselves here? How did we come to this place? How can we educate? Because what guarantee do we have that if Museveni went, the next president will not be a dictator? I can tell you, we don't have any. The only places where there are no dictators is where there are systems and people who will not tolerate a dictatorship. It's like some woman who has been in an abusive relationship and has not changed her mindset. She will find another abusive man until she changes what? Her mindset and understands what she's worth, what her value is, and what. Then that's the end of the abuse. So this is the electorate. We have been in a 35-year abusive relationship. But the way I see we can move from one abusive relationship to another, and we still complain. So my work is to awaken people and say, no, Ugandans, you have value. You what now? Imagine if somebody went and told that woman what she actually is worth, and so on, and changed her mindset. Then she cannot tolerate any abuse after that. But now, the way I see this electorate, we can actually jump from one dictator to another if we are not careful. So now that people are no longer, sometimes you tell people things and they become angry because they are thinking of an election. And they will become angry, especially if you're talking sense, and they cannot laugh at you. Some place I would go and say, yeah, kale tukutegeddwa amagezi naye tuviire ffe twagala kujja kuba omusajja. I said, kale mugende mujja. Have I stopped you from taking him off? Okay? Now that the elections, I'm still hoping, by the way, that there is justice done in these elections. Okay? And I don't think the result is final, because we cannot let this man just run away such evil. Okay? But there is the electorate ready to stand up and fight for their victory. That's the key thing. That's why it's important for us to pump this thing in the electorate. Like that's why democrats, people have a natural tendency to be selfish. Okay? If you do not put that thing in them that you are not going to put us in this place, everyone can go there. We've seen other countries where they tried those things, third term, and people refused. And the electorate rose up and what? Because the electorate is different. Like Nigeria, where Obasanjo was trying the third term thing, and he was giving out money. The MPs all took the money and all voted against that term. They don't refuse money, Nigerians. Who refuses money? Are you stupid? But they all voted against it, and they told the man, you're kidding. There is a constitution, you cannot change it, you're joking. And now after that, you think anybody will want to try that? No. But until somebody has stood up, until the electorate, the people, the MPs are just a representation of the electorate. They are as vulnerable as the electorate. The problems that the electorate face are the ones they face. So the problem has to be solved from a deeper place, which is educating the electorate. Now I'm going to continue. Now people will not get angry because they are seeing me as somebody who is trying to stop their preferred candidate. No. Now they will understand that we have to understand where we come from as a nation and make sure that this never happens again. The things that we've seen here, what I saw in this past election, I'm sure the previous ones have been like that, but I have no evidence. This one I have evidence. I have my people who are there, who came here and briefed me personally. Okay? So I know what I'm talking about. I know what happened. Now, we have to make sure it does not happen again. Because nothing has changed. The army out scaring people from voting, then scaring you, what? Then 60%, then it stays there. Where did you hear something? Like where you're reading elections results from one area, is at the same way. You go to another area, it's still there. Yes, it shows it's fair. So, those are my words. I just wanted to say that I'm only just getting started. And I don't. You see, people thought that now you go to how many votes. First of all, that's not the votes I got. I know for sure. I have DRR forms where I got a lot more votes than was declared. Yeah, I know that. But don't write that. I don't want people to think that this is about me saying that, that's not what I'm here to say. It's not important because they were in ZBA. I don't think I would have gone beyond maybe a very small percentage. So it's irrelevant. You understand? But maybe there are some people who think that but there would be a rerun. But that's not me. Now, what is important is to say that Kabuleta, financial liberation, we have to, the message has only just gotten started. And I am going to push this financial liberation because it's one thing when somebody takes away your financial liberation, you have nothing left. You cannot vote properly. Now, like that woman who says she has not taken sugar for 6 months. She knows me personally. But sugar. This is somebody from my village. Sugar. And so, a part of me said that, I wish I could have told me that I give you the sugar. So, but then how many people would I give? I don't have that money. I didn't take a supplementary budget of 1.5 trillion shillings. Like that man. Imagine he can take all the money, the whole coffers at his disposal. Everything. Do you know, from July, we've taken a supplementary classified expenditure, supplementary budget of 1.5 trillion shillings. Classified expenditure. That means money which is used at Museveni's discretion. And in October, he took 500 billion. So he can buy sugar and what? But the thing is to tell those people that how can you give out 5 years for sugar? That's what we have to do. Not just for Museveni. A part of me thinks even 5 years from now we want to be here. But I didn't even expect him to be here now, by the way. I'll be honest with you. But 5 years from now, we are not talking Museveni. I'm talking about after Museveni. Because this is Uganda, we are bringing our children into this country. We have to make sure it's a country that is. I don't know what that is in English. My English is still a bit. I don't know. A pleasant country. So, yeah, I think that's enough.
If you say you continue to push financial if given an opportunity to serve in this government, would you take it up?
In this Museveni government?
Yes.
No. No. Even if it is vice president, the only opportunity I would serve is as president. You understand? I can't work with these things. I'm a man of integrity. After everything I've said and done, I go and give it up. You know, let me tell you something. Museveni's biggest weapon has been putting everybody in a point of survival. Where you say, man, this is a mountain too big to climb. I got only 0.44% according to Balam's figures. And so, man, let me just take a spot and earn a living. I am earning a living, all right. I am not a poor man. And there is nothing Museveni can do to take away my money. He has tried that before, by the way. When they arrested me, they were asking what businesses are you involved in and what, because they wanted to squeeze me. I told them, you find if there is any company which has my name, close it down. So, I am not a survivor. Okay? I do things on the basis of principle. And I know so many good, well-intentioned people who joined this government with good intentions, and I know what happened to them. Okay? So you cannot go into a smelly pit rat and think you will come out smelling perfume. Okay? If you allow yourself, by the way, use that whatever, please, I wish you put it somewhere in the middle. You cannot go into a smelly pit latrine and come out smelling a nice cologne. It doesn't happen like that. Even if you went in with the most expensive cologne, you come out smelling like the pit latrine. So I'm going to keep my cologne. Thank you very much. Let those who want to go to the latrine go there and work.
I have a question. You are saying that what was read was fiction. What do you advise Ugandans to go on to continue voting with this that they read, which is fiction, which is not their real, which is not reality?
The key thing is, I advise what I've told you, because the voting by the way is very good for Museveni, because it gives people hope, then it crushes the hope. You know what happens when that happens? When somebody has hope, then the hope is crushed. They become very powerless. Now there are so many people out there who are powerless because they had a lot of hope something was going to change and what. No, I am not one of them. And of course now there are people who are, you come on and say, Kabuleta, you shut up, you got 0.4. Even if I got 0.0%, okay? My purpose was not, unless I was going to get 50%, which I knew I was not going to get. But anything between the 50 and the 0 does not matter. What matters is financial liberation, educating the public. So, between now and if there are any elections in future, we have to make Ugandans start thinking like, not as just supporters of, I support so and so, and you hope that somehow, without any say, in how it happens. We have to be stakeholders in our country, all of us. And we have to have that thinking that we are stakeholders, because otherwise nothing is going to change with an electorate like that. You see, but thankfully, we have, I can go now out. I'm not, there was a place where people wanted to listen to me, and not necessarily to vote for me. You see, that's the problem which people don't understand. And I didn't care, okay? People wanted to listen to me. In Uganda, they had gathered. They just want to listen because none of those people talked like me. That's the truth, okay? And they were not going to vote for me, I knew it. But I wanted to talk to them because I want them to awaken them to something. The vote I knew was just a temporary thing which is going to come and go. You understand? But I could not go there because according to EC calendar, I was not supposed to be there that day. And I did not want all these police and so on. And the people were very disappointed because we had put up the EC calendar. According to EC calendar, I was supposed to be in another place. But now, I'm not bound by EC calendar. If people in Uganda want to talk to me, I have fuel in my car, and I have my mouth and my brains, and I have the whole country before me. Nobody can stop me from going anywhere. I'm going to go and educate people about standing up for their economic rights. Because there are no rights without economic rights. Somebody without money does not have any rights whatsoever. Okay? Now, political liberation is important, but financial liberation is more important. Because you cannot have political liberation without financial liberation. It's just pure and simple. Otherwise, we end up being like South Africans who go to politics but are still poor, and the whole country still belongs to the Wazungu. But they have some political, they have a black president, and they say, you keep your black president, but all the money is ours. No, no, no. We want the money to be ours. Okay? That's when you can go and speak to an electorate, and you have to convince their minds, not because of sugar. You understand? But of course, it's in the interest of dictators to keep people poor. It works perfectly well for him. Because he can come and use you anytime he wants to get whatever he wants, then he goes. Okay? So that's what, so there are two kinds of people here. Let me end with this last question. You know, imagine, okay, just excuse me, you ladies, but imagine there's this man who has a very beautiful girl, but somehow she doesn't know how beautiful she is. But he has her, she sorts his needs, and he gives her like a 50K, a 20K, and she's happy, that level. And he wants her like that. Then imagine now another guy comes and says, man, you're so beautiful, I'm going to buy for you a RAV4. Now this guy says, you've spoiled my girl for me, now I can no longer, because now that's how Museveni has kept the Ugandan electorate. At that level where he comes, and bangs you, and then and then drops like a 20K and goes away. But now somebody has to come and awaken this girl to her real potential. Said, what? You mean you've been there with that? No, you are so powerful. What? I'm even giving you a flat. I'm giving you what? The next time that guy comes, guess what the woman will do? You will say, get lost. She'll even open doors. Now we have to get to the place where Ugandans can open the doors for Museveni. Thank you very much.
Kabuleta the solution, reclaiming the nation.